So we welcome you to the Azure Kubernetes Container Service 2023 launch. No, don't worry. We'll have some fun. We will have some fun. Scott's not coming up to show you code on screen anytime soon. But look, it's an exciting time in tech. The broad contours of this next platform are just getting clearer and clearer each day. The advances, what's possible, that's what obviously excites us in our industry. But we're also grounded in what's happening in the broader world. There's no question there are enormous challenges out there. In fact, it reminds me, and I've spoken about this before, of the very founding of Microsoft in 1975. In fact, when the Popular Electronics cover came out with the Altair, which of course our founders picked up and ran with it and created essentially what's the software industry as we know of it today. That same week, Newsweek had a cover with President Carter trying to fight off the three-headed monster of inflation, recession, and an energy crisis. And today, we would have something similar. You would have AI on one cover, and then we'll have those three challenges, plus, for good measure, we can add a few more. And so we, as Microsoft, we as the tech industry, have to sort of really ground ourselves in how do we relate one to the other. In other words, can we use technology to overcome the challenges that people and organizations and countries face? That's really the pursuit here. And in that context, I would say, I just want to share a couple of anecdotes which give me great hope. Quite honestly, it gives me personally a lot of satisfaction around working at Microsoft, working in this industry to push the state of the art of technology. The first one, obviously when Sam and his team late last year launched ChatGPT, that's the only thing anybody, your friends and family wanted to talk about throughout the holidays. It was just crazy. How, it was like the Mosaic moment, the closest we've come. It's been 30 years now since when Mosaic launched, which I distinctly remember. And it was a very exciting time. So I went on a holiday first, and then I was in the first week in India of January. I was in India. And on Jan 1st, I look at my news feed, and I see this tweet that Andrej Karpathy put out. Who is, ex-OpenAI and Tesla, and is now an independent AI developer. And he had this thing about the product that really he was most excited about the previous year was GitHub Copilot. And he was saying how 80% of his code was being generated by this, I would say, first at-scale product built on LLM technology. And this doesn't mean he's 80% somehow not doing his work. In fact, he's getting so much more leverage. And in fact, recently we crossed 100 million developers on GitHub. And think about this, right? There are 100 million developers on GitHub. If we can improve their productivity, just like how Andrej was able to sort of observe, and then let's say in the next decade, we double that number, maybe double it again. Right? That get close to 500 million developers. What economic opportunity it would create. Because there is not a meeting that I go to today with any CEO, CXO of any organization who's not looking for more software developers, more digital skills. That's the currency in every part of every sector of the economy in every country of the world. That's the opportunity we have to be able to take this technology and make a difference. But then the next day, I went to Mumbai, and then I saw this demo. This was just, for me, the most profound thing that I've seen in a long, long time. The demo was actually built by the Ministry of Electronics in India, because they're building out a digital public good. Their idea is, look, India has got multiple official languages, and they wanted to democratize, essentially, access to language translation. So they're building it out as a digital public good. In fact, Microsoft and Azure and Microsoft Research are all involved in that project. And so this is basically speech to text, text to speech across all of the languages in India. And so they showed me this demo where a farmer speaking in Hindi expresses a pretty complex thought about how he had heard about some government program and wants to apply for a subsidy that he thinks he's eligible for. And so it's a pretty complex prompt query. The technology does a good job. It goes to the bot, recognizes the speech, comes back and says, you know what, you should go to this portal, fill out these forms, and you'll get your subsidy. So he says, look, I'm not going to go into any portal. I'm not going to fill out any forms. Can you help me? And he does it. And then I was told that a developer said, OK, you know what? Let us daisy chain a model that was trained on all of the documents of the government of India using GPT and with this speech recognition software. So basically, two models coming together to really help a rural farmer in India trying to get access to a government program. Look, I grew up in India. I dreamt every day that someday the Industrial Revolution will get evenly distributed across the world. And here I was, seeing something so profound, something that was developed by the folks at OpenAI on the west coast of the United States a few months earlier, used by a developer locally to have an impact on a rural farmer. That, to me, is what gives me meaning, and I think gives us all meaning in our industry. So it was just fantastic to see that. And now, of course, we've got to scale it, and scale it with a real understanding that we can't break things, right? So it's about being also clear-eyed about the unintended consequences of any new technology. In fact, that's why way back in 2016 is when we came out with the AI principles. You know, both we as Microsoft and our sort of partners at OpenAI deeply care about this. In fact, the entire genesis of OpenAI is from that foundation. And so we built these principles, but we've not just put those principles as a document, but we've been practicing it, because that's the only way technology gets better. In this particular case, when you talk about AI, it's about alignment with human preferences and societal norms, and you're not going to do that in a lab. You have to do that out there in the world. And so it starts, by the way, with design decision one makes. When you think about AI, you can have the human in the loop, you can have the human on the loop, or you can have the human out of the loop. Those are decisions we as product makers build into the products. And so whenever we have come up with some new things and new models, we in fact put a premium on human agency. When you think about these generative AI models, remember one thing. They are prompted to do things. The prompting comes from a human being. We get to, in fact, help them prompt. We get them to take the draft that gets generated. They should review the draft. They get to review the draft. They get to approve the draft using judgment. We want to give them as many perspectives, as many ways to regenerate. So we want to take even just the design of AI products as a first-class construct and build that into our products. But that's not sufficient. We realize that. You have to, right at the pre-training stage, when it comes to the data, the pre-training itself, the model itself has to be safe, the safety system around the model, the application context, all will matter. And so we absolutely, and you'll see that today, we take all of that as first-class things which we want to reduce, not just to principles, but to engineering practice, such that we can build AI that's more aligned with human values, more aligned with what our preferences are, both individually and as a society. And so what is it that we should do, and what should we build? I think that this technology is going to reshape pretty much every software category we know. I mean, we've seen that, right? If you think about the web, we've had, three at least very distinct platform shifts that have shaped the web. The web was born on the PC and the server, and then it evolved with mobile and cloud. And now the question is, how is AI going to reshape the web? And each time, in each one of those phases, some real foundational technology layers, sometimes I describe them as these organizational layers of technology, were born, right? The browser was the first one. Without the browser, the web would have not been as popular as it is today. Same thing with search. Search organized the web. And then when it came to the mobile generation and mobile and cloud, in fact, these super apps, especially outside of the United States, around messaging, became the way people consumed the web. We also had app stores. So the question is, what are the constructs? What are the organizing layers going forward? You'll see some of that today. We think there are two things that are emerging. One is this conversational intelligent agents. I think they're going to be things that we are going to have everywhere we go. All computer interaction is going to be mediated with an agent helping you. In fact, we're going to have this notion of a co-pilot that's going to be there across every application canvas, inside of an operating system shell, in a browser. And so we want to show you some of this innovation, starting with how it's going to reshape the largest software category on planet Earth, which I've been working on for a long time, which we're very, very excited about, search. And it's a new day in search. It's a new paradigm for search. Rapid innovation is going to come. In fact, a race starts today in terms of what you can expect. And we're going to move. We're going to move fast. And for us, every day, we want to bring out new things. And most importantly, we want to have a lot of fun innovating again in search, because it's high time. With that,